You know when you finally get time to kick back with a game? You finish work or school and you've done everything you need to do. You actually get a few hours to explore, adventure, play online with your friends, or get lost in another world. This time is precious. This is your time. And don't you love spending it collecting items for crafting? Exploring, but not really exploring because you're just traveling from place to place that takes you eons to do. But there isn't anything to do along the way, so you're actually spending your time walking, running, riding a horse, in a ship, on a boat. Maybe you're climbing a mountain because apparently every game has one of those. And yeah, you may have a freaking boring fight every now and then if you're lucky. And maybe, just maybe, you see someone with a quest mark above their head. Where will this lead? What happens here? Do I go on an epic side adventure leading to more story elements, lore of the land, or some extremely highly sought after armor or weaponry? Nope. 50 experience points, half a loaf of bread, and a crafting material I'll probably never use. And don't forget the good old job well done. Brilliant. So I asked at the start there, don't you love it? What, spending hours of my time for the equivalent of a stack of pennies and a stick of chewing gum in return? No. No, I bloody don't. Because somewhere along the way, open world games stopped feeling like adventures and they started feeling like chores. And I think that's why I really struggle with them now. Now, yes, I realise I went into a bit of a tangent there, but there are definitely some good games, obviously, within this genre. Games like Skyrim, Ghost of Tsushima, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and many others, obviously. This video isn't about them, and I'm fully aware that some people are going to completely disagree with me, and that's fine. Whichever side of the fence you fall on, please subscribe anyway, and leave a comment down below because all opinions are valid here. That's what this channel is. Everyone and all discussions will always be welcome, even if they're wrong. Hell, I spent a combined over 240 hours of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but they had volume. Whenever I ran around, I barely used the horses because I just hated stopping every few seconds while I found another shrine to explore and conquer, a Korok seed to add to the collection, or a bokoblin camp to raid. Now, you could make a point that these in themselves are repetitive, but really? Excluding DLC, Breath of the Wild has 120 shrines. You're gonna struggle making 120 genuinely unique experiences in anything. I get that. Some you go in as a test of strength to battle a higher difficulty enemy than usual. Others are puzzles and you have to use your special tablet abilities to get through. And there are many different ways that this can be done. You can simply break the game at some points, especially with the movement / apparatus shrines, which are pretty damn fun. Unless you spent hours doing it the way you were meant to be doing it, like me, and then you realise that you can break the game. Anyway, and others are simply just blessings because you found the shrine.
Did I do that?
To me, that's volume, that's depth, and that's freaking fun, while at the same time being meaningful and respecting the player's time. Imagine that. Especially as each time you complete 4 shrines, you're rewarded with either more health or more stamina. Both are crucial in the game's scope. And on the way to those shrines, you might find a stable, a Korok, a Lionel.
Hold up, wait a minute.
Or a blood moon can happen and raise the dead enemies right back up.
Link, be on your guard. Ganon's power grows. It rises to its peak under the hour of the blood moon.
And you can definitely climb something. There's always the climbing. And with the stamina gauge, that even makes climbing fun. Do you have enough to scale this mountain? Because every movement is critical. Less jumps. Find a bit to rest on, but make sure you don't accidentally fall off. And then you just about make it. It's open world poetry. And then there's Skyrim, where a lot of people don't even bother with the main story. It's just more fun to roam around and find other things to do. And there is a lot to do, but it's not completely overwhelming. Same goes for Ghost of Tsushima. Admittedly for me, I predominantly went for the main story. It was just too good. My God, it was just too good. But I did hear many people telling me that the side stories were just as good too, but you know, they weren't required. That's usually what I tend to do. in these other games. I'm a story guy at heart. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is you still haven't liked the video. That's the problem. Okay, no, what's the real problem? The problem is this. What the fuck is all of this? This right here is where I begin to spiral. It's just not needed. And yeah, I've showed a map of Witcher 3 right now, but calm down. Alright, there's a reason why. I tried 3 different times to get into this game. Critics and players alike would praise it to the high heavens, citing the gorgeous graphics, deep emotional story, fun gameplay, and endless good times. While I can agree with some of these points, yes, it is an absolute feast for the eyes. I just couldn't get into it. And each time wasn't just an hour or so, by the way. It was around 8 hours each time. And then I would give up. I was completely and utterly overwhelmed. You go here to do this thing and there to do that thing, but you can't fight that enemy right now because you're too underleveled. So before you do that, you got to gain some experience points, buddy, and go help the old lady over there. But then you can't do that because you got to do this thing over here first. This is what's going on in my brain when I try to see, play, look, and understand all of this is going on. Like Ghost, I just wanted to play through the story, but I got so lost in the rest of the world, I didn't know my ass from my elbow half of the time. And while I am picking on Witcher 3 here, this isn't really about Witcher 3, it's about the checklist mentality that's infected so many of these open worlds. It's just too much to look at, for me at least. It's not the open worlds themselves in that case, it's just the crap that fills them. And it also just tells you where everything is. I thought open worlds were for exploring. Adventure on an unknown path. Who knows where it will lead. Like thinking, whoa, I wonder what's going on over there. Not, well, there's some kind of marking on the map. I guess I need to go over there. Let's go on a journey. A unique experience. Not these back and forth, absolutely mind-numbing fetch quests. Because that's what they are. And you do so many, it's just hard to find the fun in it now. And anyway, it's like trying to pick up a turd from the clean end. It's not happening. It's my biggest gripe with this checklist mentality. It destroys the fun for me. You're doing them not because you want to or because you've just stumbled across them, but because you're already there. You followed the way, and that way has led you here. So enjoy the crap loot and bull experience points that add nothing. Nothing. It's almost as if you're not going on a quest, discovering secrets and finding treasure. You're crossing off these map markers as if you're filling a spreadsheet. Think about the best moments you had playing an open world game. They're probably not the moments where you opened the map, picked the quest and followed a waypoint for 800 meters and completed whatever task was waiting for you. It's the moments you stumble upon just doing your own thing. And I know I'm going on about Zelda a lot, but there's some good reason for that, okay? Remember the depths in Tears of the Kingdom? We knew nothing about those until we played the game. Yeah, while we did get in there, someone probably told us, I think, to jump down into the depths. But other than that, there was no promotional material, nothing. And when you get down there, you're not exactly told what to do. But when you do go down there, you realize that it is just the entirety of the map just underground. And it's somehow completely different. There may be, like I said, some hints along the way, but absolutely nothing is telling you exactly where to go. For me, I remember just running around, trying not to die and stumbling upon the Tunic of Time. Link's tunic from my favorite game, Ocarina of Time. And I remember it well, and I always will, because I did that. No hand-holding, no BS, me. Compare that to go to this place, kill these worlds, collect their pelts, bring them back, get XEXP, and do it again and again for slightly more reward, slightly harder battles. But in reality, what it feels like is monotonous filler crap. Because that's what it is. Final Fantasy 16 was loaded with this, and it spoiled the game big time. That is a perfect example of a game where you didn't need any of the fluff. Genuinely, what did that add? Apart from more playtime. Really. As soon as I realised that that's what the side quests were, I skipped them. That's where we're at. And that leads us nicely into... I suppose I've already touched on this, but it needs to be emphasised. Open world games can still be fun, even if they're not 100+ hours. They can. While I say that, I realise I've mentioned I've spent a lot of time in the Zelda open world games, and I've clocked 120-ish hours in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But I am slightly biased because those two are my favourite franchises, and while I really, really thought that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom did it perfectly, Rebirth, however... So this one, it is personal for me. If you watch my channel, you know that Final Fantasy VII was my brother's favourite game. And we were both waiting for Rebirth. But unfortunately, he passed around a year before it came out. But the reason I bring this up, again, is that he 100%ed Final Fantasy VII Remake. He got the platinum, and I attempted this same feat before Rebirth came out as like a little tribute to him. Safe to say, I had no idea what I was getting into, and no, did I hell actually do it. And while I don't doubt that my brother would have sunk hundreds of hours into it to attain the platinum, he just loved Final Fantasy VII so much. That's his copy right there. It just wasn't for me. I did a lot of the fluff and a lot of the mini games, and while I didn't know what was going on half the time, I actually really enjoyed the Queen's Blood card game. Like I said, didn't know what was going on, but it was addicting, I'll give it that. There was just so much that could have been cut. And I understand. I guess Square Enix were between a rock and a hard place because they had so much criticism for 7 Remake being not linear, but because it was just in Midgard, just in that opening part of the original game, it wasn't very expansive. So then they just went crazy with it. So I kind of get it, but after a while it did feel like I was doing the same thing over and over, and that's just not great when it comes to investing your time into something. To me, anyway. We've somehow decided that a game's value is directly proportional to how many hours it can consume from you. 50 hours is better than 20, 100 hours is better than 50, therefore 200 hours must be absolutely incredible. Apparently. An open world game doesn't need to be this long. As I've said, I absolutely adored a few that took me a very long time to do. But it seems those are in the minority. If you told me I could have 20 incredible hours or 100 hours where 40 of those hours are spent traveling between 2 objectives, collecting herbs for an NPC I've already forgotten the name of, I'm taking the 20 all day. Red Dead Redemption 2, for example. Now, while I didn't finish the game, shut up, the vast open world, it was never the issue. That game makes you feel a part of the world. You're living and breathing it when you're playing, and you're connecting to the characters on an emotional and, dare I say, spiritual level. You're not looking up the map and hoovering up icons to progress. You're invested in everything you do. And this, for me, is where we've got the entire thing backwards. The industry has increasingly treated playtime and quantity as selling points. This is the biggest world yet, over 100 hours of playtime, thousands of quests. The largest map we've ever created with so much to do. Who asked for that? What, a 150-hour game where 120 of those hours are pure crap? Great, thanks for turning my hobby and my passion into a part-time job. I get it, having more bang for your buck, especially in these times. More content for your cash is understandable. But at what point is that the priority? Like, look at all this content. Okay, but is it good? Just time-consuming nonsense for the sake of it. Why? Why would you rather invest your time in sweet nothing rather than something of true value, true connection, true emotion and feel? Oh, it just doesn't make sense to me. To me, open worlds in a good light look like the recent Zeldas. Red Dead 2, Skyrim, Ghost, these are all great examples for different reasons. Zelda doesn't hold your hand, you make your way to wherever you want to go, and you can do it in multiple fashions. The feeling of exploration is just that. It's an actual feeling. You're on an adventure and it feels like it. For the vast majority, it doesn't tell you that there's something 600 meters away. I see a mountain and I think, what's over there? I discovered it for myself. That is exploration. And Red Dead 2's world becomes your world. The story and the characters are so strong, the open world is just a great addition, and it doesn't feel like a gaping hole that you're trying to get out of. The world exists to make the characters and the story stronger. Same goes for the Ghost games too. The open world isn't its identity, it's just part of it. And Skyrim in many ways does a lot of these things right too, and it was one of the first to put open world games on the map. Do you see what I did? The map. And I think that's the common thread between all of these games. They don't make the open world itself the content. They make the open world where all of this cool stuff happens. You're not playing the map, you're actually playing the game. To me, a good open world doesn't scream, hey, look over there, do this, but first do that, and maybe level up enough to do it first by doing the other thing. It lets you choose, but not in an overwhelming way. You're just going about your day and you find it yourself. Optional side stuff shouldn't mean, right, well, I now feel like I need to do it. They should mean that I want to do it. Now, I know some of you are going to be very angry, and I know I need to give at least some of these more of a chance. I'll have to ignore the parts that are ridiculously cluttered and battle through the story. And as a side note, as a promise to the missus, not that I'm saying that this game is like any of that, I'm going back to Red Dead Redemption 2. I'll start from scratch, and this time I'm gonna finish it. Because I trust her judgment completely, and she's told me this is an open world I do need to go back to and I do need to experience fully. So to conclude, I feel that a lot of these games they're full of fluff, things to do, people to talk to, but a lot of them genuinely lack in what makes the open world genre amazing. Like at the start of the video, I said that your time is precious, and that's what this comes down to. I don't need a game to last 150 hours. I don't need 400 map markers. I don't need 700 side quests. I just want my time to feel like it was worth spending. I want my time to be respected. Speaking of time, did you see me talking passionately about my favourite game, Ocarina of Time, getting a remake? If not, click the video on screen. It's been Lexitan Gaming here, you there. Cheers.